Hello and welcome to Scholarship. Today we're going to talk about stress and exams. Yes, this video is aimed at you people who are going to take their exam in English, yeah. But also it can be applied to almost anyone who's going to take any exam whatsoever. So tune in and listen carefully. Stress is inevitable. We can't really imagine our life without it. But it also influences the way we perform. It has a huge impact on our performance. By the way, did you know that the word performance does not only mean a stage performance, but also how well or badly you do a particular job or activity? For example, your academic performance is how well you are doing at school or at the university. Stress causes us to underperform. That's what it does. Think figure skaters on the Olympic ice. They're fantastic. They're top of their countries. They know what they're doing. But so often when they are out there, they just keep falling. That's not because they're bad. That's not because they don't know how to skate. It's because of stress. It affects them in this way. So, what about us? Do we want that at the exam? No, of course not. So today I'm going to share some tips on how to avoid stress or how to deal with it. The video will be divided into 3 uneven parts. The first and the biggest one being, what do you do before the exam? The second one being, what do you do at the exam? And the third one, what if something goes horribly wrong? So, without further ado, let's start. So, what is it that you do before the exam in order to reduce stress? Well, let's start with step 1, shall we? Everyone's going to agree on that one because it is studying. But not just studying, revising. And not just revising, conscious revising. By conscious, I mean that you need to think and understand why you want to revise a certain thing. So, if you want to read lists and lists of words that you won't probably need and will probably forget, no. Looking through some phrasal verbs and irregular verbs, yeah. Doing a lot of exercises, a lot of variance without going to sleep, without doing anything else or having a break. No. Doing a couple of variants just to remind yourself of the structure of the exam. Yeah, why not? Reading a whole book in English or a whole dictionary. No. Reading your best essays and some samples provided by your teachers? Sure. Amazing idea. Remember that this exam checks your ability to use the language. You can't possibly know all the words, all the verbs, all the things you are going to need. The only thing is to be on a certain level, and you can't reach that level in one day or in one night. So just don't do that. Just relax. That's, by the way, step 2. Relax. Do something that helps you feel safe and calm. I can't give you advice on that because you know yourself much better than I do. So just do something that helps you. Chat with your friends, go for a walk, do some sports, light a scented candle, have a bubble bath, have a nice meal, watch a film, listen to your favorite music. Whatever does it for you, just do that. And please, for the love of God, don't worry, just do that. Do something that makes you feel calm. And go to step 3. Have a good night's sleep. It's incredibly important. Your brain is like this supercomputer. And do you know what happens to computers when you just work and work and work using them and never give them a break? Yeah, they break down. or they start working so slowly that you can't even manage doing anything on them. And that's what can happen to your brain if you don't have enough sleep. Step 4. Have a substantial breakfast. Food fuels your brain. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, so don't skip it. Just don't. Even if you can't really eat anything because of stress, and that could happen unfortunately, eat something, just a little bit of something to carry you through the day. Anything. If you have a choice between a banana or an apple, choose a banana. Apples increase appetite, and that's not what you want to have at the exam. And for the love of God, do not take any sedatives. Yes, sedatives are good. They help you with your nerves. But some actual consequences of using sedatives include falling asleep at the exam, not being able to say or write anything while feeling awesome, and just thinking really, really slowly. You don't want that. In fact, your stress, your adrenaline rush might even help you because it stimulates your brain and it might help you think more quickly than you usually would. So just don't do that. Step 5 includes some exercise. Well, if you are not used to doing any sort of exercises in the morning, just don't do that. Just skip that. Maybe walk a little bit. If you are used to doing some morning exercises, well, do that because it may help you wake up and energize. Now, before the exam, you might want to warm up. What is a warm-up? I'm going to tell you just in a few seconds. But first, let's remember those figure skaters, from the beginning. When they come to the Olympic Games, they don't just go ahead and jump their jumps and flip their flips. They have this warm-up before. You know why? Because it's impossible to do anything without a warm-up. And it would be impossible for your brain to do this as well. So what you do, you come to your room, you sit there, you're waiting for everyone to come and so on and so forth. You're just chilling and casually thinking about how you would probably phrase a letter or an essay or compare two pictures or say something about your project. Just some of the tasks. Remember some of the tasks and casually think them through. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Just do that in order to remind yourself of how it's done. This will be a slow, lovely warm-up for your brain so that it doesn't get lost and keeps being in shape. So, what it all boils down to is that first we help our brain relax, then we give it a rest, then we wake it up, we warm it up, and we go. Now, what do you do at the exam to combat stress? In fact, focus on the tiniest details might make you underperform. This is known as the centipede's dilemma. I'm not going to tell you much about its origins because, well, it's a story that's really hard to follow. There was this fable, there is this poem attributed to Catherine Christ, there are some other people involved, but if you want to read the poem, here it is. Just stop the video and go ahead and read it. The main idea is that if you think too much, concentrate too much on the things that you normally do automatically, you might find it incredibly hard to do those things. That is why some people misspell their own names, write in the wrong blanks, do something they would never do in a normal situation, because they're influenced by stress and they concentrate on the wrong things. So you might try shifting your focus to the task and the main goal. Don't concentrate on each single variant, each single word, because sometimes you repeat a word so much that it doesn't really even seem to be English or a word anymore. Don't do that. Don't focus on it too much. Too much focus is just as bad as no focus at all. Try to concentrate on the things that are important. The task itself, the text, for example, the sentence, the whole idea of getting your things done and going through this exam and passing this exam. But don't over-concentrate. The other thing that is really helpful is breathing. Thankfully, it's free, it isn't banned, you can do it anytime. What it does is distract you and helps your brain, fuels your brain with some lovely oxygen. Now, when I'm saying breathing, I obviously don't mean that you haven't been breathing through a whole exam. I mean conscious breathing, concentrating on your breathing. Take a nice, lovely, deep breath in, and then take a juicy, lovely, beautiful breath out. Do it a couple of times. Try to be really slow, really mindful. Try to fill your lungs, your belly with air. Concentrate on this flow of air in and out. The other thing is drink water. Once again, try concentrating on this liquid. Try to concentrate on what you're doing. Just take a small break. Taking breaks actually helps, because if you just constantly think and think and think about one particular thing, sometimes your brain starts missing things that are pretty obvious. And if you shift focus, you might find that answer or have this idea that you really needed. So try these things. But what if something goes horribly wrong? Well, first of all, calm down. It's going to be all right. But let's try and think about some situations that might happen. First, when you're doing listening, imagine that you hear that the speakers who are supposed to be talking about, say, public transport, are clearly speaking about sports. Please don't hesitate, don't be shy. Tell the teacher. It might be the wrong recording. Make them check if the recording is correct. Trust yourself. Most teachers who sit with you in this room are supposed not to know English at all, so they have no idea. Same goes for the volume. If you want to turn it up or turn it down, if you can't hear it at all, ask them. That is your right to do so. You need to do so, because nobody knows if you can or cannot hear something. They just don't know. Let them know. It's really important. Secondly, when you're doing speaking, once again, it's just on you. You must listen to the whole recording. Sometimes it's too quiet, sometimes it's too loud, sometimes it's just not recorded. So check everything. Be careful. Sometimes the beginning is okay and the end is not. What if you are unwell? I'm not talking about the situation when you're influenced by the stress, you feel a little bit dizzy and something like that. Obviously, we're all not feeling quite well under stress. But if you have high temperature, if you have incredible headache, heartache, God forbid, anything like that, first of all, you might skip the exam. You might write a special note about wanting to take your exam on a different date, remember to prioritize your health. Your health, your well-being is much more important than this exam. Trust me. Secondly, if you are already at the exam, don't hesitate to tell the teachers. Please do that. They might call an ambulance. They might find some medicines. That's really important. Once again, your well-being, your health is much more important than this exam. And what if you fail? Well, what if you don't perform as well as you wanted to? Could that happen? Unfortunately, yes. Each exam is a little bit like a lottery. You might have a really bad variant. You might get all the words that you have forgotten, even though your command of English might be fine. That could happen. Is it bad? Well, yeah, it is disappointing. But trust me, it's not the end of the world. Think of the possible consequences and the possible ways out. For example, you don't get enough points to get to the university you wanted to, but you might go to a different one. You might go to college. You might start working. You might study so damn hard that in the end of it, you will be the best student ever. You might do a lot of things. It's never the end, it's just the beginning. But you know what? This is not going to happen. None of it. Want to know why? Because you've been working really hard. And hard work always pays off. So don't you worry, and good luck.